Some mistakes some home buyers actually do in Kenosha are completely avoidable. However, they can cost you thousands of dollars, time wasted, emotional drama, and stress.
In today's video, Ollie and I are going to tell you what we would do differently if we were buying a house again in the Kenosha area. How to avoid that stress, how to avoid that pain, and how to avoid that financial damage. So let's dive into today's video and tell you how we would buy a house differently if we could do it all over again in Kenosha's market.
So one of the mistakes that most home buyers do, we did, is not get that pre-approval. So when we started buying our house or started looking for our home, we didn't get our pre-approval. And why was that a mistake, Chad?
So it was a huge mistake, and thankfully we had a really nice realtor when we started looking for our home that showed us a couple houses to begin with. But eventually she said, you know what, Ollie and Chad, I would love to continue showing you houses, but you need to get pre-approved so we know exactly how much house you can afford, to know if we're looking at the right houses in your budget, if you can actually afford these houses or not. So if I'm showing you houses that you can't afford, you might fall in love with the house. Then once you do actually get pre-approved, the bank says you can't afford this house, but you've already fallen in love with it. Then every house that you do look at that you can afford, you just compare to that house that you can't afford, and
And that's what just happened to us. We started looking for a house without knowing quite well how much we actually could afford. We saw over our budget, and I fell in love with a couple of homes. I mean, we only saw a couple of homes. However, when we finally got pre-approved, we couldn't afford those homes. And then I was actually sad and emotional because I kept comparing those homes to the homes that we could afford. So having those pre-approval is a key thing, because then it'll help our realtor, which helped her dwindle or streamline the search instead of searching all over the place. And that helped us narrow it down. Sellers didn't take us seriously because of the fact that we didn't have pre-approval, so they're not going to take our offer seriously anyways. And that's what was educated to us, taught to us by our realtor as well. So when she started talking about getting pre-approved, she explained, you're going to fall in love with a house. However, they're not going to take you seriously because we don't know if you can actually afford it.
That's right, and you can't even submit an offer without having a pre-approval or some kind of proof of funds, because sellers won't take you seriously. A seller wants to see they can actually afford to buy their house, that you can take this all the way to closing, that you'll be able to actually afford to buy their house. Because if you don't send some kind of pre-approval or proof of funds with that offer to purchase, the seller will say, yeah, we got your offer, but you don't have a proof of funds or pre-approval. We're not even going to look at it because you can't even afford to buy this house. So why should we continue to look at it? On to the next offer that comes in. So make sure that you get that pre-approval first thing before you even start looking at houses.
And with the pre-approval, you can actually provide stronger. Let's say you fall in love with a house that's under your pre-approval. However, you still have that room or that cushion that you are able to make that stronger offer on that house, and that will get you to win, or hopefully win that house, or getting a step closer to winning that house. And it provides the underwriting to help, and it helps with pre-underwriting and helps you close faster and get those keys in your hands closer and faster as well. So get that pre-approval. Okay, so we just talked about the pre-approval process and how important it is. We have provided a link below so you can grab our buyer's guide. That will actually walk you through step by step of what you can do. And send us a text at 262-331-1621, and we can connect you with a local lender that is very communicative and we trust. So don't forget to click on that buyer's link, okay?
Next, you never want to rely on those automated valuations. Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com. They're a lot of fun to look at. They're fun to compare your house to your neighbor's house and look and see if your house's value has gone up or down. But if you're actually thinking about buying or selling, don't take those numbers to heart. Don't think that those values are actually real, that they're actual numbers that real buyers and sellers are going to pay or take for their house, because they're not. They're just computer generated. They're just a bunch of compiled numbers based on sales that are in the recent areas and combined, and then an algorithm spits them out. This is all stuff that Aalia and I have gone over in our videos before, so you guys all know this already. But don't rely on these numbers.
They're a good starting off point to kind of get a guesstimate or zestimate of your house. However, talking to an actual person who actually will pull the numbers of the sold homes around you to get you a better idea of how much your home is worth.
If you want to know exactly what your home is worth, even if you're not looking to buy or sell right this minute, if you just want to know, give Aalia or I a call. We're happy to do a CMA for you, just so you know. Maybe you're thinking about selling in the next 6 months. We'll happily give you a CMA, no pressure, nothing like that. We'll just shoot it over to you, just so you know. So another reason not to rely on Zillow and Redfin and all those other reasons or websites is because of the appraisal. Once you have an accepted offer, the bank will do an appraisal. Unless you're a cash offer, lenders always do an appraisal, and that appraisal has to meet the contract value of the house. If it doesn't appraise out, then you have to go back to the negotiating table with that seller. The buyer and the seller have to renegotiate the offer price and usually come down, because if it doesn't appraise out at the value, then you have to meet at that appraisal value. Because if it doesn't appraise out, the bank will only take what it appraises at. The bank won't lend more than what the house is worth.
And so if you are a buyer, you might have to bring more money to the table, or if you're a seller, you will literally have to lower that amount of purchase price when we get to close, right before closing. And that's where a negotiation part of the process happens. If the appraisal comes in too low, then that's where more money needs to be talked about, or less money.
And that's where, having an expert realtor in your corner really comes in handy, because Aalia and I, we're expert negotiators. So we negotiate on your behalf. Whether you're a seller or a buyer, we work for you, and we work to negotiate on your behalf. Whether you're a seller or a buyer, we work to negotiate that appraisal in your favor. If you're a seller, we work to negotiate for the buyer to bring money to the closing table so you don't have to lower that purchase price. And if you're a buyer, we work for the seller to lower that purchase price so you don't have to bring more money to the closing table, because let's face it, most people like us, we don't have extra money to bring to the closing table.
Never assume that a home will be there tomorrow. So we encounter this a lot as realtors, that someone goes, "Oh my God, I love this house. This is perfect. I mean, there's a few things that I need to change. However, I'm going to sleep on it." We'll
let you know in the morning what our decision is.
Exactly. Those are the epitome of words that we hear, and we cringe as realtors because of the fact that that house may not be there tomorrow, and it fits every criteria that buyer has. So, or even sellers, like talking about, let's sleep on this offer. Well, that offer can go away tomorrow because the buyer doesn't want to wait. So never have that mentality, because one, that buyer will not be there tomorrow, or that home will not be there tomorrow. So we need to stop assuming that.
Especially with all these out-of-town Illinois buyers that are constantly moving to our area. We have so many buyers that are constantly moving to the Kenosha racing area. They're scooping up all these homes, especially if they're priced under $350,000. They're going like wildfire still. Sure, our market's starting to slow down a little bit, but homes are still selling super fast. If you're going to wait till tomorrow for a home to make a decision on whether or not to put an offer on it, it may not be there tomorrow.
Especially homes under $350,000. Those homes are disappearing really quickly, because a lot of people don't want that huge mortgage payment. So those homes are disappearing really quickly.
So if the house checks all the boxes, make sure that you move on it really quickly. Now, at the same time that we're saying that, make sure that you're also taking your time, and that you're picking the house that is right for you, and that you're not moving too fast that you make a rash decision and just pick a house just to pick a house.
And don't let your emotions guide you on the picking of your house. That is the one of the things that I.
Regret.
Okay, hold on. So just do that. Taking out that emotion out of your decision is an important thing, because of the fact that is one thing that I regret. Following when we were trying to find our house. I mean, I love my house, I love our house and stuff. However, if I were to do it all over again, I feel like removing that emotion can see the flaws that our house has. So take that emotion, most of your emotions out, and follow your gut feeling. And if your gut is saying no, I don't want it, then we will move on.
Just make sure that you look at your house really closely, look at the inspection report that you have done, and say, is this house really the right house for me for the next 5, 7, 10, 15, 20 years? Can I see myself living in here for the next 15, 20 years?
Or forever home.
Or do I think that maybe this house has a few too many problems that I want to deal with? I don't know. Only you can make that decision. If you want to keep looking, we'll keep looking with you. If you think it's the right house, you want to put an offer in on it, let's go ahead and move forward.
Well, our next step is never forget to budget for property taxes and utilities.
And those unforeseen expenses that pop up.
And then that is what we're dealing with now. As we mentioned in one of our live videos that we stream, so every 2 weeks, make sure you check in with that as well. That we are dealing with a large plumbing issue that we didn't account for, and we had a few appliances that went dead within a month of each other, and that was 3 months back to back. So don't forget to account for that. And of course, sometimes in some years we deal with inflation, so all of your taxes, your utilities, your groceries, your plumbing will go up. So make sure you have saved enough money for those emergencies as well.
So next we want to talk about never buying solely based on the pictures that you see online on a house. Now, I want to put a small little caveat to this. If you're buying because you live out of state or out of town and you have to buy because you're based, like you're military, and you're buying somewhere out of state and you have to buy sight unseen, you might have to buy just based solely on pictures online. Maybe the realtor you're working with will do a video tour for you, but try your best not to buy just solely based on pictures that you see online. Try your very best to get in there and see the house in person. Nothing beats seeing the house in person. Pictures hide a lot of imperfections.
And also another thing of seeing a house in person is a person can actually feel a vibe or energy of the place to make sure that that place really is them. Because when we bought our house, the instant vibe, even though they had a lot of imperfections, but I can actually imagine my family being there. So that was one of my decisions, or part of my decision I made for getting that house that we are currently in. So in person is best, unless, like Chad said, you're out of state or country and you can't just get there. Rely on like your realtors, and we do this all the time for our clients. If they are living out of state, we have no problems going to the place and recording or FaceTiming. If you have an iPhone, yay iPhone, do a FaceTime session. So.
And when you see the house in person, you get a better feel for the layout of the house, because a lot of times they don't put the pictures in order, so you don't really get a good feel for how the house is laid out. When you walk in the front door, do you walk into the kitchen? Do you walk into the living room? Do you walk into a bedroom maybe? I've seen houses where the front door, you walk into the bedroom, which is really odd.
Yes.
But you never know. So you want to make sure that you see the house in person, make sure that it flows right for you, that it feels like home.
So our last tip is never ignore the resale potential of a property. I just did a short video a couple of weeks ago of being a smart buyer. So a smart buyer is looking at a property, and not just for that moment, but for the future. because, you know, life throws that curveball. So what kind of curveballs life throws at you, Chad?
I mean, you never know what life could throw at you. Maybe you get promoted at your job and you have to be relocated across the country. Maybe you hate your HOA that in the neighborhood that you bought in. Maybe they won't let you park your boat in your driveway anymore. So you have to change HOAs, but they won't let you rent out your house to anybody. So you have to sell your house for that reason. You never know what life might throw at you. Any number of things.
Exactly. So always be a smart buyer when you're purchasing your property.
So whether you're a first-time home buyer, relocating here to Kenosha, or moving across the country, we're Chad and Aalia Scott here, your local Kenosha area realtors. You can call or text us at 262-331-1621 or grab any of our guides here in the description of the video. We're here to help you out anytime that you're ready. We hope you have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you in the next video.
The
Appraisal activated.
right. Oh my God.
Let's dive into the video and let's tell you what we would do differently if we were buying a video. Or if we're buying a video?
Bye.
If we were buying a video.
Right. I mean, whatever. So blah 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 blah. This. Okay. Hold on.
I'm talking in circles.
I know. Okay. Nope. Karate.
Hiya!